Is it crazy? In the future, you are not better salary in US dollars, but in Bitcoin. Think about it. All those examples I just showed. What is the digital economy? To me, it's about deep globalization. Why is it called deep globalization? Because you will observe all kinds of movements of goods, capital, services, people in all days, plus the freer movements of data around the world. This is the digital economy, in my view. It's deep globalization. Okay. Many people, really don't like globalization. There are a lot of debates nowadays. Is it globalization will be stopped? Is it good or bad? Somehow, I feel this is not a relevant question anymore. Or it's really not a question cared about by policymakers. For example, there are several 21st century free trade agreements currently under negotiation. And we know the purpose of free trade agreements is to reduce trade barriers. And take a look at what issues are under negotiation right now, compared with the traditional topic like tariff or even non-tariff barriers. TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, negotiated between the United States and the European Union. And this is one of their topics right now. How to facilitate the use of electronic commerce. How to lower down the barriers for electronic equipment. And very important, the last one, how to facilitate the free movements of cross-border trade, the cross-border data flow. How to facilitate the movements of data across the world. This is the main purpose, and you can see what policymakers really care about. Why here it says free flow of data, not totally free flow of data? Because still we have a lot of concerns. For example, privacy concerns. Right? Think about a foreign company, okay, which can own all your behaviors and analyze what you're thinking about. Well, the US, your government willing to share this information with a foreign company, and vice versa. And, this is somehow, Facebook and YouTube are blocking China because we're concerned about sharing this information with a foreign company. National security concern like this guy really create a lot of troubles. And protection of intellectual property rights. So still, because of these concerns, the flow of data somehow still restricted across the globe. So that's why there's a necessity, on one hand, to realize the commercial interest, on the other hand, to address these concerns about the free flow of data. And this comes to negotiation. The same thing, TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, another very important and 21st century free trade agreements under negotiation. You can take a look at the agendas covered by this agreement. Also very pioneering. In addition to the digital trade, the free flow of data, also I encourage you to take a look at those agendas marked in blue. They're related, they're really kind of supporting the free flow of data in the 21st century. For example, how to protect intellectual property rights. Okay? How to make sure investment can be protected, because a lot of free flow of data are about investment. For example, the competitiveness and supply chain, alongside the e-commerce, alongside the use of internet is about the supply chain. And also small and medium-sized enterprises. Just like only one guy can design the application of Flatbird. Those IT companies in the 21st century can be very small, like WebWeb. This small application actually just designed by a couple of people. How to encourage the small and medium-sized enterprises to have more access to globalization and realize their commercial interests. This is something really of concern by the country. So I hope that you can see the world is changing. The world is changing, and new rules are being set. Okay? But I'm not saying that digital economy has nothing to do with the traditional economy or with the traditional sector. Quite on the contrary. This data is released by one report from the US IPC, the International Trade Center. They find that in the US, okay, the US-based manufacturing sector, 50% of their sales revenue in 2011 come from e-commerce, which means the traditional sector is also reforming the way it operates, to embrace the new technology, to take advantage of the changing market environment. Also, the intermediaries, what really are taken as input to make products, to generate added value. Even for the manufacturing sector, you can see, okay, a quite large percentage of their input nowadays are digital inputs. Kind of quite amazing. Okay? They use technology to become more productive as input versus the traditional input of labor and capital. This showcase the digital economy actually is very inclusive, not just those newly immersed in industry, but also relevant to the traditional sector and reforming the traditional sector. My personal view is the digital economy is about the interaction between technology and globalization. Okay, the interaction between technology and globalization. Okay, a further study conducted by the Oxford Economics, they asked people how they foresee the impact of new technology, especially the IT technology, on the multiple sectors. Okay, the kind of consensus view is tremendous changes will happen. Changes will happen, not just to the IT sector, but also includes many traditional sectors, and of course includes the retail sector. Okay? So hopefully the board gives you a big picture about the digital economy and the globalization in the 21st century. Now let's continue with the discussion about the impact of such a digital economy on the fashion industry. First of all, I want to ask you guys a question. What is merchandising? Someone I feel not too many people can answer this question. What is merchandising? TMD, many of you are merchandising students. Okay? What is merchandising? Any volunteer? Any volunteer? Merchandising. Right. Because of the time, this is my conclusion. I give you the answer. Merchandising. This is not my definition. It's come from the textbook. Okay? It's about serve the target market. Okay? With the right merchandise, on the right price, in the right quantity, on the right place, and at the right time. Right. Okay. But the key thing is to serve the target market. Okay. Serve the target market. So that's why in our department, in TMD, in terms of merchandise course, we have a system here. I divide into 3 different levels. Some courses address the consumer, help you to understand the consumer behavior. And also we have a bunch of courses telling you about the corporate business strategy, the practices, okay, of business. And then we have courses, like the one I teach, 433, address the market, the big picture about the industry and the rules of the game. Okay. So merchandising is not spaghetti. It has a paradigm there. Have this unique theory, have this unique kind of content, has this unique content. And this really can inspire us to think about what is fashion, while watching one webinar, I really like this definition. Okay? Fashion, two things, how we seduce consumers and how we control the supply chain. Okay? I think last week's presentation really gave you a lot of inspiring thinking about how to seduce consumers in the 21st century, in the digital economy. But now I will address more about the supply chain. What is the unique feature of fashion apparel supply chain? Right? The big picture of fashion apparel supply chain. My personal thinking is these four words. Long, global and fragmented, buyer-driven, and heterogeneous of different segments. Very long, right? It's very global, but fragmented, it's buyer-driven, and heterogeneous of different segments. Very long. Okay? This is one conceptual model from the European consulting company. Okay? The key thing here is do not simplify fashion industry with manufacturing of fashion goods. Do not simplify the fashion industry with manufacturing of fashion goods. The fashion industry covers more than that. Think about how many processes are involved, starting from picking up the raw materials and to the end, the retail market. It's very long, right? Even for the manufacturing itself, it starts with fiber, the natural fiber, and even the synthetic fiber, which is a chemical product. It's very long. Okay? But also, it does not mean that all things have to happen within one country. It does not mean all those production processes, the very long production process, has to happen in one country, but on the country. Okay? We see the travel of teachers around the world. Okay? Countries work together to make one single apparel products based on their abundance of endowment and based on their comparative advantage. Okay? Based on their comparative advantage, so that's why it's global and fragmented. And the third, from the production perspective, we first have fiber, then have yarn and apparel, and have retail and consumer. Okay? But from the business perspective, who is the leader of this industry? It's the consumer, it's the retailer. It's a buyer-driven industry. Consumer tells retailer what I want, so the retailer will carry the merchandise needed by the consumer. Think about fast fashion. What is fast fashion? Be responsive to the market needs, right? And retailer will tell apparel manufacturer what to make, and apparel manufacturer tell the textile mills what to make. And this is what will happen if consumers stop buying. So this is a buyer-driven industry. Okay. And also, from a production perspective, each component is as important as the other function. Like without yarn, they cannot be finished apparel. Without fabrics, the same. But in terms of value chain, okay, different activities alongside the apparel supply chain, actually they offer different added value. Okay? We have activities which offer relatively higher added value, like design, like branding, like marketing, those activities which offer higher added value. But also we have activities which offer relatively low added value, assembly, manufacturing. Okay? And because of these natures, actually it's explained phenomenon why, like US, Western European countries, the advanced economies are more engaged in designing products and do marketing. And for developing countries, they're more engaged in low-end manufacturing jobs. So above all, I hope you have a bit idea about the nature of apparel or fashion industry. Now let's think about the impact of digital economy on the fashion industry. I will give you two examples. For example, I want to put these two questions in mind while watching it. It's very short. Okay? First, what changed and what actually hasn't changed in the digital economy? Okay? And how how to achieve the model, the business model mentioned in the video. This is one event hosted by CSIS, which is a great think tank.
Amazon is digitizing their oil fields. GE is monitoring smart power plants from across borders. Procter & Gamble uses the internet websites, Twitter, Facebook, to connect with customers around the world. But I guess, and Congressman Paul has mentioned this, I think the real promise is that startups and small businesses can participate effectively in the global marketplace for the first time in history on a broad scale. So I'll give you just one example that's relevant to TPP. The shirt that I'm wearing today is from a company called Proper Cloth. They're an online custom shirt manufacturer based in New York City. They've got a showroom in Soho. And so you go online and you design a shirt, you put in your measurements, and then 2 weeks later you get a shirt that's shipped from their facility in Malaysia. They've got 5 employees in New York. They support manufacturing in Malaysia, and they export to more than 20 countries. So this niche didn't exist 10 years ago. And the reason why it exists today is not just because these guys can hang a digital shingle on the web, but because of improved logistics services, payment and shipping services, and the online communities that have developed around Facebook, Twitter, blogs, message boards that help to validate the company and make me sort of see that their product is worth checking out. And so maybe just to close, the final reflection is that the principles that we developed were specific to fostering global flows of information and digital technologies, and that's really only part of the solution here. Fostering an open and secure global digital marketplace requires a whole suite of policies, not just on information, but also on logistics and shipping services, payment, retail, customs, mobility policies, intellectual property rights frameworks, appropriate intermediary liability protections. And so, you know, as a broader point, getting the entire TPP right is important for a number of reasons related to the digital economy, but certainly because